So starting off, creating visual content opportunities and integrating them into your social media strategy. So I wanted to start by laying the foundation here, both like statistically and trend-wise, as in terms of what we're looking at in terms of this space before we get into tips, because that's really the reason why the tips are important. So it's been long held that there's this idea of the 1% rule online. And this actually came from some Wikipedia research that was done in 2006 by some of the Wikipedia editors that showed that actually only 1% of people were creating content for the Wikipedia site. A further 9% were editing or making tweaks or building on it. And then 90% were just gawkers. They were just lurking. And really, this is kind of not the case anymore. If you've seen the Mary Meeker monthly or annual trends piece that came out last week, which is a really great one, 1.4 million snaps are sent from Snapchat every day. Clearly, that's not 1% of its users that are just sending selfies all day, but it's a broader range of people, and we're seeing that with this content. Content is shifting to being more participatory. So this has changed largely thanks to the advent of social and to mobile. Next section, and sorry, I know I'm moving really fast, but understanding your customers by what they pin and how they arrange their boards. So the really great thing about publicly available social data, which pretty much everything except for Facebook is pretty searchable. We can thank Mark Zuckerberg's frequent forays into our privacy for that. But you can get a lot of this information without having to pay for it. So for instance, one place that's great to start, and this is a really good way if you haven't navigated to this yet, but your site actually has a Pinterest URL that aggregates everything that's been pinned from your website to this day. So it's pinterest.com/source/whatever your website is will navigate to everything that anyone has ever pinned from your website. So anything that's on an owned channel that people have brought to Pinterest, you can see. So this is Nike's. But so this is a great way, one, to just have an idea of what images are arresting enough already that people have decided to pin them, and like what are they saying about those pins, what boards are they putting them on, and then two, what people are gravitating to your content. Secondly, Pinterest API is a really great place to start to help bring some of this more social piece into what you're doing. It's an application programming interface for those that don't like acronyms for some reason. So they allow you to bring a couple different things in. So you can bring the Pinterest experience to your site in terms of like most recent pins, most popular pins, things like that. And you can help try to navigate the pins that you want people to be pinning. You can help bring them to those places by integrating this on your website too.
The ability for Ritz to tell our story in social media is incredibly important to us. It's also something that is evolving and continues to evolve, and we continue to learn and adapt daily. So what I want to do today is tell you 3 truths that we have learned and hold at the center of what we do and how we talk about social media, and I'm going to bring those to life in what we're doing in Instagram and Pinterest today. But first, let's talk about this evolution, because I think it's really important. My first job in this industry was back in college in 2004. I was part-time at an agency in the digital group, and my head of the digital group looked at me and said, "There's something to this Facebook thing." And at the time, that was actually an innovative thing to say. And then he looked at me and asked me for my account login info because he needed that so that he could actually access Facebook because I had a college login, which made me very priceless at the time, which I thought was pretty great. But social media then was very alluring, right? Like these were the ways we talked about social media because these were the new things that it brought to us. And some of them are right and some of them are wrong. Some of them were kind of silly looking back, but it was what we were talking about at the time. And over the years, we got a little smarter and we started talking about social media in the same way that we talked about traditional media. It's also a lot about maintaining relevance. This has 2 points on Instagram. One, the demographic of Instagram continues to age up and expand. And 2, it's owned by Facebook, but it hasn't quite yet seen all the algorithms and effects of influence of paid that Facebook has. So we think it's an important place to establish our voice today. So what is that voice? So we went to Instagram and said, what are our consumers talking about today? What does that look like? So people are talking about everything from cheddar to Throwback Thursday to food porn. And we love all of those conversations and want to be part of them. So we established these 3 content pillars: Ritz recipes, lifestyle and do-it-yourself, and regrams. It's roughly 60%, 30%, and 10% of our content.